Nathan Gallagher stood in the entrance of his own home, his hands pressed to his mouth in disbelief. The scene before him was so unexpected, so completely outside of what he'd anticipated, that he couldn't quite process it. Golden balloons spelling out happy birthday were arranged along the wall. His housekeeper, Catalina Ortega, was placing a beautiful chocolate cake on the dining table, clearly homemade, with elaborate decorations and lit candles. And sitting at the table, faces glowing with joy, were his two children, 7-year-old Daniel and 6-year-old Emma. They were laughing, actually laughing, with genuine happiness, in a way Nathan hadn't seen in months. How did I forget? Nathan whispered to himself, the realization crashing over him like a wave. Today was Daniel's 7th birthday, and Nathan, his father, had completely forgotten. Nathan was 39 years old, a pharmaceutical executive who'd worked his way up from nothing to become vice president of a major company. His success had come at a cost to endless hours at the office, constant travel, a schedule so packed that personal life became something to be managed rather than lived. His wife, Melissa, had died in a car accident 14 months ago. Since then, Nathan had thrown himself even deeper into work, using his career as a shield against grief. The children had a nanny during the day and Catalina, their housekeeper, who came 5 days a week to clean, do laundry, and prepare meals. But somewhere in the chaos of grief and work and simply trying to survive each day, Nathan had become disconnected from his own children. He'd been physically present but emotionally absent, going through the motions of parenthood without really being there. This morning, Nathan had rushed out for what he'd expected to be a full day of meetings. But the important client presentation had been cancelled at the last minute, and Nathan had decided to come home earlier, something he rarely did. He'd expected to find the house quiet, the children with their nanny, Catalina doing her usual cleaning. Instead, he'd walked into this, a birthday celebration he'd completely forgotten to plan. Nathan stood frozen in the doorway, watching Catalina lead the children and singing happy birthday in both English and Spanish. She had a warm, melodious voice, and the children sang along enthusiastically. When they finished, Daniel leaned forward to blow out the candles, his face bright with joy. "Did you make a wish?" Catalina asked. "I wished for..." Daniel started, then stopped. "Wait, I'm not supposed to tell, or it won't come true." "That's right," Catalina said, smiling as she began cutting the cake. "Your wish is a secret between you and the universe." Emma bounced in her seat. "Miss Catalina, can we do the treasure hunt next?" "After cake," Catalina promised. "I have a whole game planned for you." Nathan felt tears prick his eyes. Catalina had done this. All of it. She'd remembered Daniel's birthday, baked a cake, decorated, and planned activities. She'd done everything a parent should do. Everything Nathan should have done. He must have made a sound, because suddenly 3 faces turned toward him. The children's expressions shifted from joy to surprise. And Catalina's face showed something more complex, a worry, perhaps, or fear of overstepping. "Daddy," Emma called. "You're home early." "Look, Miss Catalina made Daniel a birthday party." Nathan stepped into the room, his throat tight with emotion. "I see that. It looks wonderful." Daniel's expression was harder to read. There was happiness, but also something else, a guardedness that broke Nathan's heart. "You forgot, didn't you, Dad?" Nathan could have lied. Could have claimed he'd been planning to do something later, that he'd just been running late. But looking at his son's face, at the resigned acceptance in a 7-year-old's eyes, Nathan couldn't bring himself to add deception to his failures. "Yes," Nathan said quietly, "I forgot. And I'm so sorry, Daniel." There was a moment of silence. Then Catalina stood, wiping her hands on her apron. "Mr. Gallagher, I hope I didn't overstep. When I realized this morning what day it was, and I hadn't heard you mention any plans, I thought." "You thought you'd make sure my son had a birthday celebration?" Nathan finished. Even though it's not your job. Even though I am the parent who should have remembered. Catalina looked uncertain. I know I should have asked permission first. I bought the decorations and ingredients with my own money. I'll provide receipts if you need them. I just couldn't let the day pass without acknowledging it. Nathan crossed the room to stand beside the table, looking at the beautiful homemade cake. It was clearly made with care and not a store-bought cake picked up hastily, but something Catalina had spent time creating. The decorations were simple but thoughtful. She'd included both children's favorite colors: red for Daniel, purple for Emma. Catalina, how long did this take you? Nathan asked. I came in early this morning, she admitted, and I used my lunch break to set up, but it's okay. I don't need her. How long have you been working for us? Nathan interrupted. Catalina looked confused by the question. Almost 2 years, Mr. Gallagher. And in those 2 years, especially since Melissa died, you've been far more than a housekeeper, haven't you? Catalina was quiet, clearly unsure where this was going. Nathan looked at his children. Kids, can you tell me what Miss Catalina does for you? Emma spoke up immediately. She helps with homework when you're still at work. And she reads us stories sometimes. And she teaches us Spanish words. And she lets us help her cook dinner. She remembers everything. Daniel added quietly. She knows I don't like tomatoes. She knows Emma is scared of the dark, so she always turns on the nightlight before she leaves. She knows that Thursday is my library day at school, so she makes sure my backpack is ready. She knows you, Nathan said, his voice breaking. And I've been so buried in work and grief that I've been failing to really see you. Both of you. He pulled out a chair and sat down, eye level with his children. Daniel, I have no excuse for forgetting your birthday. I've been treating my work like it's the most important thing in the world, but the most important things are sitting right here. You and your sister. And I've been taking you for granted. It's okay, Dad, Daniel said, but his voice was small. No, it's not okay, Nathan insisted. Your mama. His voice caught. This was the first time he'd really talked about Melissa with the children since the funeral. Your mom would never have forgotten. She made every birthday special. Every holiday. Every ordinary day. She was present for you in ways I haven't been. Emma's eyes filled with tears. We miss Mommy. I know you do, sweetheart. I miss her too. Nathan reached out and took both children's hands. But missing her isn't an excuse for me to check out of being your father. I've been here physically, but I haven't been here for you, not really. And I'm so sorry. He looked at Catalina, who was standing quietly, giving them space for this moment. Catalina has been doing the work I should have been doing. She's been noticing the little things, celebrating the important moments, making sure you feel seen and valued. That's what parents should do. And I've been failing at it. Mr. Gallagher, Catalina said softly, you're grieving. You're doing your best. My best hasn't been good enough, Nathan interrupted. And that ends now. Catalina, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. She nodded. What else have I been missing? What other moments? What other needs? What other parts of my children's lives have I been blind to? Catalina hesitated, clearly uncomfortable. Mr. Gallagher, I don't think. Please, Nathan said. I need to know. I can't fix what I can't see. Catalina looked at the children, then back at Nathan. Emma has been having nightmares about the car accident. She doesn't want to tell you because she doesn't want to worry you. Nathan's heart sank. Emma, sweetheart, is that true? Emma nodded, tears spilling over. You're always so tired, Daddy. And you're always sad. I didn't want to make it worse. Nathan pulled his daughter into his arms, feeling like the worst father in the world. Oh, baby, your feelings are never a burden to me. Never. I'm so sorry I made you feel like you couldn't talk to me. Catalina continued, her voice gentle but honest. Daniel is struggling with reading. He's behind his classmates, and it's making him feel bad about himself. He needs extra practice, but he's embarrassed to ask for help. Nathan looked at his son. Daniel, I'm dumb at reading, Daniel said, his voice barely audible. All the other kids are on level 3 books and I'm still on level 1. You're not dumb, Nathan said firmly. Reading is a skill. and everyone learns at their own pace. We'll get you help or a tutor, or I'll practice with you every night. Whatever you need. I'm sorry I didn't notice you were struggling. There's more, Catalina said quietly. Emma's best friend at school moved away 2 months ago, and she's been lonely. Daniel got in trouble at school last week for pushing another boy, but when I asked him about it, he said the boy was making fun of him for not having a mother. The teacher called you to discuss it, but I haven't returned her call. Nathan finished, shame washing over him. Because I've been too busy with work. He sat back in his chair, looking at his child Rena, really looking at Thema and seeing all the ways he'd been absent. Emma's too quiet demeanor, Daniel's defensive posture, the guardedness in both their eyes. These weren't thriving children. They were surviving children, getting by with the help of a housekeeper who cared more about them than their own father seemed to. I'm going to make changes, Nathan said. Starting now. Big changes. You always say that, Daniel said, and the resignation in his voice cut Nathan to the core. You're right, Nathan acknowledged. I've said it before and then nothing changed. So this time, I'm going to be specific. I'm going to start working from home 3 days a week. I'm going to be home every night for dinner by 6 o'clock. I'm going to check homework, read bedtime stories, and actually know what's happening in your lives. And if work calls, Daniel challenged, that guardedness still in his expression. Then work can wait, Nathan said, because you're more important. You and Emma are more important than any meeting or deadline or promotion. I've been acting like my job is my life, but you're my life, and I'm going to start showing you that. He turned to Catalina. And you, Catalina? You've been doing far more than your job description. You've been filling in the gaps I've left, taking care of my children in ways that go beyond housekeeping. And I want to officially make that part of your role. I'm doubling your salary, effective immediately, and I'm giving you the title of family manager and nanny, because that's what you've been doing, and you deserve to be recognized and compensated for it. Catalina's eyes widened. Mr. Gallagher, that's not necessary. Yes, it is, Nathan insisted. You saved my son's birthday. But more than that, you've been saving my children every day, filling in for a parent who's been too lost in his own grief to see what they needed. That's not something I take lightly, and it's not something I can ever fully repay. But I can at least make sure you're valued properly. He looked back at his children. And I can make sure you know that you're the most important people in my life. Not work. Not anything else. You. Daniel studied his father's face, and Nathan could see the child weighing whether to believe him. Finally, Daniel said, you promise? You really promise this time? I promise, Nathan said. And if I break that promise, I want you to call me out on it. Don't let me slide back into old patterns. Hold me accountable. Emma climbed into Nathan's lap. Can you stay for the treasure hunt Miss Catalina planned? I wouldn't miss it for the world, Nathan said, holding his daughter close. And he meant it. For the first time in 14 months, Nathan felt fully present in his own life, aware of what he'd been missing and determined to change it. The treasure hunt Catalina had created was elaborate and thoughtful, with clues hidden around the house leading to small treats. Nathan watched as she led the children through it, seeing how they lit up at her attention, how they trusted her completely. She'd built a relationship with his children through daily acts of care and attention, while Nathan had been absent even when he was home. Later, after the children had gone to bed, Daniel clutching a new book Nathan had promised to read with him tomorrow, Emma with the stuffed animal from the treasure hunter. Nathan found Catalina in the kitchen, cleaning up. Let me help, Nathan said. Catalina looked surprised but handed him a dish towel. They worked in companionable silence for a few minutes before Nathan spoke. I owe you an apology that goes beyond forgetting Daniel's birthday, he said. I've been taking you for granted. You've been raising my children alongside whatever nanny was here that week, and I've been treating you like you're just the person who cleans my house. You've always been respectful, Mr. Gallagher, Catalina said. Respectful isn't the same as appreciative, Nathan countered. Or aware. Catalina, you've been seeing my children better than I have. You know their fears, their struggles, their needs. And instead of being grateful for that, I've been oblivious to it. He set down the dish he'd been drying. Can I ask you something personal? Do you have children of your own? Catalina's expression grew sad. I have a son. He's 14. He lives with my mother back in El Salvador. Nathan felt his stomach drop. You're away from your own child to take care of mine? I send money home every month, Catalina explained. My son can go to a good school, have opportunities he wouldn't have if I'd stayed. My mother takes care of him, and I video call when I can. It's not ideal, but it's what I can offer him. How long since you've seen him? Nathan asked. 3 years, Catalina admitted. I can't afford the travel, and my visa situation is complicated. Nathan felt another wave of shame. He'd been neglecting his children while they lived in his house, while Catalina was sacrificing time with her own child to care for them. That's going to change too, Nathan said. I'm going to have my lawyer help with your visa situation, and I'm going to make sure you can visit your son regularly. Whatever it takes. Catalina's eyes filled with tears. Mr. Gallagher, you don't have to. Yes, I do, Nathan said firmly. You've been giving my children the love and attention I've failed to give them. The least I can do is make sure you can be with your own child. And Catalina, I don't know how to thank you for what you did today. For remembering when I forgot. For making sure Daniel knew he was important and celebrated, even though his own father dropped the ball. Every child deserves to feel special on their birthday, Catalina said simply. They do, Nathan agreed. And every day, children deserve to feel loved and seen and valued. I'm going to make sure Daniel and Emma feel that way from now on, because you showed me what I was missing. You showed me that my children needed more than I was giving, and I'll be forever grateful for that wake-up call. Over the following months, Nathan made good on his promises. He restructured his work schedule, started therapy to process his grief, and became truly present in his children's lives. He attended Emma's school play. He practiced reading with Daniel every night. He learned about their friends, their fears, their dreams, and Catalina, with Nathan's help, was able to bring her son to the United States. The teenager joined them 6 months after that birthday, and Nathan offered Catalina the guest house on his property so her family could be together. A year after that forgotten birthday, on Daniel's 8th, Nathan threw an elaborate party. But before the guests arrived, he gathered his children and Catalina together. Last year on this day, I failed, Nathan said. I forgot my son's birthday. But Catalina remembered. She made sure Daniel was celebrated, even when his own father dropped the ball. And that moment coming home and seeing what she'd done, it woke me up. It showed me I'd been sleepwalking through my own life, missing what mattered most. He looked at Catalina. Thank you for caring about my children enough to step in when I was failing them. Thank you for remembering when I forgot. And thank you for showing me what it looks like to truly love the children in your care. Catalina smiled, her teenage son beside her. Thank you for giving me the chance to be with my own child again, and for trusting me with yours. Daniel, now 8 and much more confident, added, and thank you for making my 7th birthday special, Miss Catalina. Even though Dad forgot, you made sure I felt important. Emma hugged Catalina tight. You're part of our family forever, right? Forever, Catalina confirmed. And Nathan, watching this scene, thought about how close he'd come to missing it all. If that client meeting hadn't been cancelled, if he hadn't come home early, if he'd continued down the path he was on, he might have lost his children's childhood entirely, waking up one day to realize they'd grown up and he'd missed it. But Catalina's simple act, remembering a birthday that a distracted, grieving father had forgotten, had been a mirror held up to Nathan's life. It had shown him the truth he'd been avoiding, that success at work meant nothing if you failed at the things that truly mattered. The millionaire had returned home early and been shocked by what the maid had done for his children. Not because it was scandalous or wrong, but because it was so thoroughly right, and it was something he should have been doing himself. That shock had saved them all, and Nathan would spend the rest of his life grateful for the woman who loved his children enough to celebrate them, even when their own father had forgotten.